Hello, my name is John Bavender. I've been asked to make this video for eBay safety and security. The first question is, asked to develop an online course for situational awareness for security. How will you tackle this project? Assume all SMEs are available online. Well, first of all, I would research online for situational awareness training that existed, go through that and see how much I can learn. Second, I would try to gain an understanding of the concepts of perception, comprehension, and projection, and learn how those would help our participants gain a knowledge of how to look at a situation and project any possible threats. Then the second thing I do is I review the current training at eBay, see what's already been developed. The next thing would be to interview the SMEs, talk to them about the objectives of the training, also asking them about any existing gaps they see in the training and what we can do to improve that. Then the next thing would be to analyze the current training against the objectives we came up with, see if what gaps I see, then develop a storyboard for the new training that would meet all the training objectives that the SMEs had agreed on. Then start writing the course material, write it in clear concepts which would be easy for the participants to learn. Then the next step would be produce a video that demonstrates those concepts, that shows a situation that the participants could view and see how much they could perceive, and then discuss the concepts that should be involved in situational awareness. Then finally design an evaluation at the end of the training, which would be another flash video of a situation, and have a quiz or a test that would judge the participants' understanding of how to look at a situation and see everything they need to see and make any conclusions about possible threats. Question number 2. Please describe your technology experience, including the use of any learning management systems and authorizing software. Well, I have experience with Captivate 5 and 6 for e-learning development, which I've used for about 3 years. I also have experience with Adobe Premiere Pro CS5, which is a video editing tool. Of course, I've used Microsoft PowerPoint. I've also used Moodle e-learning systems to capture electronic text and evaluations, and to build the grading part of the Moodle environment. And the last thing I have experience with is Oracle 12 UPK system, which is an operational documentation system. That was used on my last job down in Arizona, which we had JDE Enterprise 1, and basically the documentation was being done for administrative and accounting. Question number 3, how would you evaluate a training program? Well, first of all, I would sit down with the SMEs and research what the objectives for this training program should be. Second, I would review the training system's evaluation records, looking for any gaps or inconsistencies in the evaluation, especially gaps in the evaluation for all the objectives that we listed above. Design a new evaluation if necessary, if the existing evaluation is inconsistent or has gaps in it, and that would measure, this new evaluation would be designed to measure all the objectives. Also, I would add an activity to give the participants, which would show the level of understanding of all the objectives. Then measure the results of the objectives not understood and those that were understood. Then I would sit down and use some statistical analysis and calculate a measure of effectiveness of the training program. Then using the ADDIE principles and adult learning concepts, look at the whole program and see how we could make improvements that would simplify and clarify the training program. And basically, my opinion is that the course has to achieve at least a 70% effectiveness to be considered usable, and even at 77%, it probably needs some improvement. Number 4, how would you recommend participants seek college credit for corporate training? Well, first of all, I would research the participants' employers' HR departments to see what programs they already have in place to help the employees apply for college credit for training they receive from the corporation. Second of all, I would identify the colleges that are participating and what credits they're offering and the process of applying for those credits. Then I would go in and design an e-learning training course, which would basically be a presentation to the employees, participants, of what college credits are available to them after completing the corporate-based training. And then I would sit down with as part of the training, discuss with the participants the advantage of having college credits that would highlight the additional training they had received from on the job and how that would advance their career and make their career stronger. Question number 5. How would you handle an SME insists on an 80-page thesis-like training document? Well, first of all, I would assure the SME that the information in his 80-page thesis document is all great, it's all important, and all the concepts that are presented there need to be taught to the participants. But I would point out to him that the main objective of any training course is that participants need to learn. And this is best achieved through adult learning by keeping the concepts and the objectives of the course simple and clean. Then what I would convince him we need to do is break down the thesis into its primary objectives and concepts. To write these out as simplified, clear statements, and then work on building a e-learning system that would put all those concepts into place, analyze each concept, make sure we have them in the right order so we can build from one concept to the next to achieve all the objectives that were in the 80-page thesis. Use the ADDIE principles to evaluate the course as we're going through, do the analysis, the development, the design, the implementation, and the evaluation to make sure that we're covering all the objectives that were in the original thesis. Then, especially at the end, build an evaluation that really tests the knowledge of all the participants on how they learned the different objectives and concepts that were presented. And, you know, as a last resort, if I had to sit down and discuss with the SME, the idea that participants are going to have a limited amount of learning skills and also a limited amount of time to devote to this training program, and that an e-learning course would be much more advantageous to them because it would allow them to bring more of their skills, not just reading, to learning the material. And unfortunately, reading for understanding is not a universal skill anymore. Question number 6. One of eBay's safety and security shared behaviors is simplify, clarify. Describe what that means to you. Well, basically means that any training system, whether it's in class or e-learning, that you break down the objectives of that course to its basic concepts, and then you express those concepts in the simplest possible statements, that you simplify and clarify each concept to the point where it's easy to be understood by the participants. Then you analyze each concept and make sure you present them in a logical progression that moves from concept to concept, using each concept to build to the overall objective of the training. You know, keeping each concept simple and clear will help the participants understand and gain a greater perception and understanding of the material. Basically, all training, whether it's e-learning or in the classroom, it's best done by simplify and clarify. Keep the concept simple and straightforward and easy to be understood. Clarify the logic that moves from one concept to the next, And that way each participant's going to have the best chance of learning the most they can, really understanding the concepts